Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast on a Monday. That must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. Mainly it's here to, the big question is how you doing, checking in. I don't know if anybody saw the post last week, but we had to cancel last week because of sad and really tragic circumstances. And Eric, I'll let you roll with it at that point. But yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately, I lost my baby girl, Penny. Um, she's a dachshund, or was a dachshund, and she was 15 and a half years old and developed some kind of a bowel issue. It was either cancer or some sort of a bowel disease, and I lost her last Monday, so we didn't broadcast last Monday because I was not in the headspace to do that, and I'm recovering. It's been a hard week. I've been very fortunate to have the friends that I do and the people that I have to support me. Um, and um, and yeah, it's right now it's just about recovering.
yeah. Really sorry to hear um Penny passing away. I remember there would be cute moments where she would do cameos with us on stream
Indeed,
sometimes,
she would.
you know.
Indeed, she would, either in the background or in my
Yeah,
lap. Yeah, she
yeah,
she made a few cameos over the years, so you guys can check
yeah,
the archives and see which
yeah,
ones it was. She had
yeah.
been kind of on the downswing for a year or two now, and um, I think the poor girl just finally, couldn't keep it going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's tragic. I've lost dogs in the family as well. It's never easy. Every one of
Yeah.
them is always a different scenario or
Mm-hmm.
situation. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna miss hearing her and hearing your
Oh, brother.
stories.
Yeah, the
You
number
know?
of time she'd get the zoomies 5 minutes before one of our calls, and I'm like, really,
Yeah,
Penny, right now? This is
yeah,
when you get the zoomies.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, I went and I picked up her ashes from her
Hmm.
vet today, and I thanked her vet for how much she took care of her, and yeah, it's I'm gonna find a place where I can spread her ashes where I know she would have had a lot of fun stuff to sniff. She is a
Hmm.
dachshund after all, and so sniffing is was a core
Yeah,
tenet of her life. So
yeah.
um, she will, you know, in her honor, I'll do that. And I think I know the place, but we'll see when I get out there. For the time being, I've got her resting in her old kennel off to the side where she always liked to be. So,
Cool. Cool, cool.
but yeah, I mean that's not what we're here for today. Um, we're here to talk about our cartoon. So, what are you working on tonight, James?
Well, I guess I'll share screen and um yeah, let me know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're good to go.
Okay. We're gonna pick up where we left off 2 weeks ago, where I was working on the herd shots with the Warhogs and then trying to have Calamity adjust the stuff. So we'll be doing that as we go forward for tonight. And I'll be picking and choosing different spots within our shots to make new art, new assets and stuff like that. So for example, here, maybe I'll pick up here with the Warhog
Grabbing her
riding
tail.
Calamities. Yeah,
Yeah,
grabbing the
yeah.
tail. So I might make the assets for that tonight as we hang out a little bit. But yeah, that's the plan.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Well, I mean, excuse me. There's a lot to talk about. I've been catching up on Righteous Gemstones for one, which is for anybody who doesn't know, a Danny McBride comedy. So that right there should give you kind of a sense of the style of comedy that comes with it. Um, and I think it's the best thing he's done. I never could get into Vice Principals.
Hmm.
I really did like Eastbound and Down though.
Hmm.
Um, but there's a sophistication with the Righteous Gemstones that he seems to have integrated into his very crass and lowbrow humor.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's a really good show. I mean, really tour de force performances by everybody involved, particularly John Goodman, who, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Um,
Hmm.
but I've been enjoying that, and then game wise, I just to you know self medicate, I guess. I picked up a few games.
Hmm.
Been playing Baldur's Gate 3 with some friends, and then I picked up two Xbox games, South of Midnight and Hi-Fi Rush.
Hmm.
And it's safe to say, I mean, I've only played about an hour and a half of Hi-Fi Rush, and I only just barely got through the intro of South of Midnight at this point. But both of those games leave a very, very good first impression. Um, I really, really like the art style in both of them. They both run on Steam Deck flawlessly, so that's even more attractive. Unlike Monster Hunter Wilds, which barely runs on any computer,
Hmm.
let alone Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so it's been fun to kind of dive into those and lose yourself a little bit in those. Baldur's Gate 3 in particular is a pretty interesting beast. For anybody familiar with the franchise, it pretty much uses D&D rules for its RPG mechanics, and with some modifications here and there. But it is an epic, multi-hundred-hour long game that you can play completely in co-op, and so me and a couple of buddies are playing it together and having a good time.
Is that a crossplay, by the way?
It does have crossplay. In fact, crossplay was added last week, the day before I bought it. So it was kind of perfect. So I bought it, and it's a huge game. It's like 120 gigabytes, which is insane.
Hmm.
Um, and so it took, basically all night to download. Um, and and then the next morning, crossplay was activated, and so my buddy Matt, he plays on Xbox. My buddy Dylan plays on PlayStation 5, and I play on my Steam Deck, and it works seamlessly, effortlessly. So, all hail modern technology, I guess.
That's great. Does it, were all your friends, are they all different levels? Or are you guys all about the same level? Like, do you have a noob in the party? Like, how does that work?
You have to start an entirely new campaign, and everybody
Okay.
rolls their character at the same time.
Oh, okay. All right.
So everybody starts equally. Um,
Okay.
and there might be other ways to handle it, but at least the way we did it, everybody just rolled a new character.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and so uh um we're yeah, so we're going through it. Still pretty early in the game right now. Only about, I'd say, I think we've played our multiplayer campaign for about 10 hours. So barely scratched the surface. Um I don't even think we've made any headway towards the main quest. All we've been doing is side quests.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but that's fine. I think the sense that I get about the that game is it's more important to just adventure, like truly adventure, right?
Hmm.
Um, I picked up Avowed a while ago. It's pretty crazy playing all these Xbox games on my PC, but I'm not complaining. Avowed actually
Yeah.
does not work on my Steam Deck, so that one is I either have to stream to my Steam Deck or just play it on my PC. But it streams great to my Steam Deck, so that's fine. Um, but anyway, uh, um, uh, Avowed really feels a little bit more directed,
Hmm.
a little more guided, whereas Baldur's Gate really does encourage you to kind of just get lost in the world and not too worry too much about the main storyline.
Yeah.
um, which is interesting given the nature of the story. You've got like a mind flayer worm in your head, and you're trying to find a way to get it out before it's too late. But but it's been fun. It's been really good. It's been a really good distraction. And
Wait, when you say mind flare worm, that's just for your character, or do all three of your characters all have that same issue?
this is apparently this is something that is a bit of a plague in the game world. There's a
Okay.
lot of characters who have the tadpole, as they call it, in their head.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
So I don't know the full extent of why so many people have been infected, but they certainly have been.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I've been wanting to pick up that game myself. It just there's so many games to play, and
Yeah.
you don't have enough time to play everything. But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Baldur's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you consider how beloved that game is compared to, like, for example, Dragon Age Inquisition, which seemed to drop the ball.
And
I haven't played it yet. I have it on my PS5. They actually, with how tragic Dragon Age Inquisition has fallen, like they actually gave it out for free like last month on PS5. So you
oh
can,
yeah.
when it's only been out for a few months, but here we are.
Oh, you
So I'm
mean
gonna play it.
not Inquisition, the new one, Veilguard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Veilguard. My
Yeah,
bad. Yes,
yeah.
Veilguard. Yeah, Inquisition was, yeah, a couple. Yeah, that was eons ago.
That was a
At the
long time ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, Inquisition. Yep. Um, yeah, it's really suffered the bad mouth rounds for a
Yeah.
game. But I can't make any judgment on it yet. I haven't played it, so um, but yeah,
It
looking forward to it.
has definitely not been getting good reviews, that's for sure.
Yeah, but what's sad is, I mean, it had such great character build up. Like Morrigan, for example, the mage sorceress girl, I think was her name.
Mm-hmm. Morgan is
I always
right.
liked,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure there's other characters I can't recall their names off the top of my head, but she was the one that stood out the most to me. Sven, I think, which was what's the name? What's the race of those big giant, you know, Klingon equivalent type characters in Dragon Age? I can't remember
Yeah.
the name of them,
I
but
never
yeah.
got into Dragon Age, so
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
Origins is great. But yeah, but Baldur's Gate kind of seems to scratch that itch as well, and does a much better job for the fantasy genre from
Yeah. I mean, I think
everything I've seen.
yeah, the utilizing the largely the Dungeons and Dragons game rules, it there's a maturity to those rules that kind of,
Hmm.
as long as you don't screw those up, there's a
Yeah.
certain level of quality to the role playing that's going to work because D&D is pretty well established and pretty robust, and you know, uh, and so as a result, it's oh, excuse me, I not surprisingly haven't been sleeping all that well for a while,
Hmm.
but um, yeah, so it from just an RPG standpoint, it's pretty hard to not make a competent RPG by utilizing those rules. But Larian has done a really good job kind of making the world their own and using the D&D rule set in interesting ways that work for their product. So,
Hmm.
and they're very respectful of the source material. There's a
Hmm.
lot of returning elements and homages to the past without um, being a slave to the history of the game, right? Setting out on their own and creating something new while also recognizing the past and honoring it.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I have a solo character that I've been playing and the multiplayer character, and it is interesting how different the vibe is when you're playing just with your by yourself and with three
Hmm.
NPC allies versus when you're playing with three human allies, and how the dynamics of the combat works, and how everybody negotiates the world. But the inventory system is very forgiving. You can basically just take whatever you want out of everybody's pouch. Everybody shares the inventory, so there's not like a big challenge to share items, so you don't have to worry about, well, like, you got the last chest, I'll get this chest, right? Everybody can pick it up and then you just share items whenever you want to. Um,
So, do you have your own bag of holding, for
hmm
example?
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody has their own inventory, but it is accessible by all the other teammates, and you can freely transfer items between them.
Nice.
So it's very nice. It's a good way to make the game uh, a lot more forgiving than it could be. I mean, they could have been real sticklers about how they handled item trading, and you don't even have to be in the same proximity to another player. You can just trade items
Hmm.
anywhere in the game world with each other, essentially. And so it's cool when you're exploring a town, everybody can kind of just go their own way. And then, hey, I found this thing in this one town. Do you want it? Yeah. So you buy it, and then you can just pull it out of the inventory. It's great.
Hmm. Oh,
Really,
that's really convenient.
yeah, really, really pleased with how they managed it, and the overall UI UX. I mean, because it's D&D, is pretty complicated. That's just kind of the name of the game, but it is so much more intuitive than Monster Hunter Wilds, which by all accounts is
Oh, wow.
a simpler experience. Um, but yeah. So I'm enjoying, Baldur's Gate 3 in particular. I've been enjoying, but my at least my first reactions to South of Midnight and Hi-Fi Rush are extremely positive. South of Midnight is a like a Tomb Raider or Uncharted style platform action game where there's a lot
Hmm.
of platforming, shimmying across ledges, combat uh, arenas, very very heavy story driven. Um, and the at least the first about 30 minutes of the game where you're sort of getting introduced to the characters and sort of being introduced to the nature of the world, I found extremely compelling. The voice acting is great. The art direction is great. The world is really really interesting looking. So I'm actually pretty looking forward to exploring it more and seeing what it has to offer. And same thing with Hi-Fi Rush, which is very kind of Saturday morning cartoon vibes in terms of the visuals. The characterizations aren't as fun. It's
Hmm.
a little bit too trying to be cool too much, so they can get a little bit the character voice acting can get a little grating, um,
Hmm.
and they're also somewhat generic. For instance, the female lead has, of course, the shaved side head, right? Because that's obligatory. Any edgy female character always have to have has to have half of their head shaved, right? Because that is just, I guess, the calling card of edgy women in video games. Um, and so that's just that. But the gameplay and the art is really cool. It's an action game, combo based action game similar to Bayonetta or God of War, but the conceit is that the only way you can really be extremely successful is by attacking to the rhythm of the music that's playing at all times. All of your movements, all of your dodges, all of your jumps, attacks, they're all, if you time them to the beat of the music, you are more successful. And it
Okay.
makes some really fun, compelling gameplay moments.
So that's similar to, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but isn't there another game where it's kind of almost like a puzzler where you move around the map? It's like a overhead view, like Zelda,
Yeah.
and you're timing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of the game.
Crypt of the Necrodancer,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
and then the Cadence of Hyrule, which was the Legend of
Hmm.
Zelda spinoff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and it's not as rigidly bound to the rhythm. Like you can still just mash X and Y and have hits come out,
Hmm.
but they won't be as effective. You won't uh, do as much damage. The battles will take longer. You won't get as many points, and you need like points and stuff to you know upgrade items and things of that nature. And so yeah, I mean, you can, I guess, probably brute force your way through the game, but you would not get very far, I suspect. Whereas Crypt of the Necrodancer, if you're not like, you know,
Yeah, it felt very rigid.
it's very rigid, very unforgiving, right?
Hmm.
So that's not the case with Hi-Fi Rush. So that's really all I've been doing this week is watching Righteous Gemstones and playing video games.
Cool. I mean, that's pretty much, it feels like that's my week every week. Just swapping out the TV shows. But yeah, I mean, I've watched Amit and I watched Righteous Gemstones. We're on the last season
Hmm.
ourselves, so we haven't started watching it just yet, but we'll catch up to it. What's kind of funny is, I mean, if you're this is more of a macro com observation, but boy, I mean, if you want to be a consumer of media, what a time to be alive, because there are so many choices now
Mm-hmm.
that you're never going to have enough time to go through everything at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Same with whether it's video games or TV. Like, yeah, it's just we're just all over the place. And so you kind of can just take a leisurely stroll and just wait for more shows to build up to kind of binge. The last season I think is the last season of Gemstones. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're
Yeah,
done
it
with it.
is. Yeah, you're wrapping up at the end of
So
this one.
yeah, so I mean, there was no rush for this to wrap up watching that show. But yeah, as far as video games, it's kind of the same thing. It's just I have so many games in my backlog now that I'm not in a hurry to buy the latest game right now. There's
Yeah.
no, like when we were kids, it was much different. You know, now it's like the only thing that you really want to buy a game for is just for FOMO, because you want to be with the rest of the crew of people on launch day to play the game to avoid a spoiler of some sort or something like that, maybe at the most. But yeah, yeah. So for me, I'm playing Shogun Showdown, which is
Mm-hmm.
this indie game, turn-based game, excellent. So, and I think we mentioned this a couple weeks back at the stream, where I've been trying to focus more on smaller games, just because I want to kind of I want to see a lot of stuff versus playing a sweeping epic of a game, which is where, Baldur's Gate is great. I want to play it, but I know I think at least easily 300 hours into a game
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's what it's asking for,
Yeah.
Um, but Shogun Showdown, I could play for, I've been playing it here and there for like an hour a day, and then I've already beat it, but there's more to it, and then you keep playing it, and I've put maybe 20 hours in, and it doesn't feel like it's been a slog,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, it's been interesting to kind of parse through what to play, and this is kind of a grander thing about the Nintendo Switch, because
Mm.
again, I'm not even in a hurry to buy that system, because I'd be rushing to just play Mario Kart pretty
Right.
much at this point,
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, aside from I think Cyberpunk, the only third-party game that's available at launch, I already own on PC,
hmm
right? And
hmm
I'm not interested in it. Like Elden Ring, I'm not really, that's not my
hmm
style, which we're not gonna
hmm
litigate tonight again. Um,
yeah.
but every other one of them, Street Fighter Five, shoot, I can't even remember anymore. Street Fighter Five, I think, is the only other big one. I'm
hmm
not gonna rebuy that on the Switch 2. It'll work
yeah.
fine on my Steam Deck and it works fine on my PC, right? There's just no
hmm
reason for it. Um, and I think, that's interesting. It's part of the challenge for the Switch 2 is, at least for me, I mean, I can't speak to anybody else, but the Steam Deck is such a strong value proposition, and it has a cadre of games that, you know, just it probably won't be on the Switch 2, and it has the advantage of being able to stream from the PC. There's a lot of, interesting value propositions in the Steam Deck that makes me, I will definitely get a Switch, and if I, if I get in on that pre-order program through um, the Switch store, then or the Nintendo store, then I'll definitely take advantage of that. But yeah, it's not beating down the door like we've talked about. And I'm not gonna fight scalpers for it. I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And if
hmm
if Nintendo can't produce enough stock to overcome the scalper, because it seems like that's really the only way to do it anymore, is just to
hmm
flood the market in the early days to completely
yeah.
stymie, scalpers' abilities to be horrible, horrible people that should be banned from the internet for life, but whatever. Um, then so be it. Once the dust settles and there is finally enough stock out in the environment, then I'll pick one up. Right, if I don't get the Nintendo Store pre-order.
hmm Yeah, I'm pretty much in that same. I'm not even in that boat. I think I'm just gonna wait. I'll probably wait a year or so,
Mm-hmm.
and then just pick it up. Until I see another a litany of. I just see a lot more games to come out for it. I just don't. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's no need.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I have Shogun Showdown to play
Yeah,
instead. So
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, Donkey Kong Bonanza's in July, so I'm excited about that.
Hmm.
And then Metroid Prime 4 is at the end of the year, so I'm excited about that. But that's 3 games over the course of the next 6 months. Um,
Hmm.
it's not and that's fine. That's always how kind of new systems play out, and hopefully it won't be quite like Sony and Microsoft, where it took them years to have any sort of library of games that felt like they were worth chasing down. And hell, by the time
Hmm.
Microsoft finally started producing things that I actually think are really cool, like the aforementioned South of Midnight and Avowed and Hi-Fi Rush. By that point, they've sort of gone the Sega route, and most of their games are coming out on PC now. So there was just no reason for me to buy an Xbox. I can get an Xbox controller; it works wirelessly on the PC, and all the
Hmm.
games are on the PC. So it's just like there's no reason for me to own an Xbox console, which frankly is the right play because famously, console makers tend to take a loss on the hardware and make
Hmm.
it up on the back end with software. So, I think it's a good play for them.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and it's kind of interesting. It's funny how Xbox is kind of they are taking a bet on or a gamble on trying to make their stuff kind of console or platform agnostic. They were ecstatic about, well, not ecstatic, but they were excited about the Switch 2,
Mm-hmm.
implying that they'll be launching, they'll be sending a bunch of games over on the Switch as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and even younger generation, I don't know, like when I talk to my nephews and we play games, a lot of them are just playing games on their phones,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't really care. It's not about being enamored with just an IP anymore. It's about if the IP happens to be on an accessible system,
Mm-hmm.
that they already own. They don't need to go out and I feel like they don't have the urgency to go out and buy something just because it's only Nintendo exclusive type of stuff. With that
I
said, though,
Yeah, I also think that younger generations are inundated with so much input. And this
mhm.
isn't a me like, oh, the younger generation, they have no attention
Yeah, yeah,
span.
yeah.
It's not that. I've met plenty of younger generation kids who can focus on something if they need to focus on something. It's just that they have so many options. They have so many different avenues of distraction and of entertainment and whatnot that there is just not as much need to commit, or desire rather to commit, even 20 hours to a single experience, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Where, on their phone they can spend 15-10 minutes and get the dopamine hit that we all are looking for with entertainment, and then they can move on to the next thing, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's just the nature of the world. We've got information being thrown at us from every direction at a million miles per hour. It doesn't surprise me that younger people are less interested in committing time to a single endeavor for any length of time.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, unless it's like Fortnite, right? Which for some reason is still insanely popular and good for Epic for tapping into some kind of zeitgeist. But there are few and far between.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, I'm gonna say we're in a I'm in a pretty good spot for this first shot, and this next part of the shot is going to be a little bit more complicated, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
show you where we're at with that. Where is this at? So right now in the animatic, we have the Warhog biting the tail of Calamity,
Mm-hmm.
and then it kind of zooms out a little bit to reveal that that's what it's doing to Calamity's tail, is trying to drag it off of Tinsel to knock her off, while she's saying knock it off
Mm-hmm.
herself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this scene is going to require these assets that I just hid,
Mm-hmm.
and the Warhog running and holding that tail. And I've got to I need more processing power to kind of think about this as I approach it. So this might be something I want to do for next week.
Okay.
I have a pretty good idea, but yeah, but I feel like this is a pretty good spot to. So normally we go 45 minutes, but I think this might be an earlier cutoff for tonight, just to kind of I want to process it.
Sounds good. If you're at a good stopping point, there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that.
yeah. But
All right.
in the meantime, yeah, got plenty of this shot is pretty much set up. We got the Warhog biting Calamity and well on its way.
All right. Excellent. Well, we'll call it there for the evening. You can head on over to calamityjane.rocks. That'll take you to our Patreon site. Please consider becoming a subscriber and helping us make this cartoon a reality. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube, which presumably you already have since you're watching the stream. And we also have an Instagram where we will occasionally post some interesting stuff, so you can head on over there too if you're looking for information. Otherwise, we'll be back next week. Stay safe out there, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Good night.
Good night.